Disney is in one of the worst spots in decades, possibly ever. And it's not due to just one or two problems. This is kind of an all-over issue, and we're covering it all. I'm Troy from Marks on Movies and Marks on TV, and today we're talking about the total destruction of Disney by their own hand. Now, on with the story. The links to the stories I'm covering are in the video description. Just to set the tone of this video, we're going to go to the post-millennial. Disney stock downgraded after studio lost $900 million on last 8 movies. Disney stock has fallen to its Friday price of $89.28 from a high of $200 in 2021. Investment advisory company KeyBank Capital Markets downgraded Disney's stock last week due to concerns that growth has stalled for the Mouse House's Disney Plus and Hulu streaming services and lower attendance at theme parks. We'll get to the streaming stuff and the parks in future chapters. Skipping down the article a bit to the less financial jargony stuff, the analysts were concerned by the slow subscriber growth of Disney Plus and Hulu, as well as ESPN's new streaming service possibly being priced too high. Additionally, low theme park attendance compared to company expectations contributed to the analysis. Last month, it was revealed that Disney lost approximately $900 million on its combined 8 releases last year, including Lightyear, Thor: Love and Thunder, Strange World, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3, Elemental, and The Little Mermaid. The latest Indiana Jones installment is also performing well below expectations. You could say that again. This does not mean, by the way, that all of those movies that were mentioned lost money. All of them severely underperformed, and quite a few of them did lose money. Guardians and Wakanda Forever didn't lose money, I don't think, but they definitely underperformed. Then again, most things coming out of Disney Marvel nowadays are getting wrecked or underperforming. We'll talk about this a bit more in one of the next chapters. Let's dive right into the streaming news for the Disney Corporation. Spoiler, it's not good.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Bad.
Going back to the same article from the Post-Millennial, according to CNBC, the analysts also pointed out that though demand for sports on cable TV remains high, most customers aren't willing to pay for ESPN streaming services yet. Last week, the New York Post reported that ESPN laid off 20 on-air personalities, including some of the network's biggest stars, such as Jeff Van Gundy, Max Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, Suzy Kolber, and Jalen Rose in an effort to save tens of millions of dollars. Money well saved on a few of those people, I would say. If you can see these people on cable, why on earth would you pay extra to see similar content with them? If I'm going to give you money for exclusive content, it'd better be well worth it. Especially in today's economy, no one has extra spending cash that they're willing to blow on crap that they can easily get for free. Furthering on with the mass purge of people and programs, let's take a quick look at an article from Inside the Magic. Disney Plus is currently in the midst of a historic content purge, which has garnered the attention of fans from around the world. Disney removed more than 50 titles from both Disney Plus and Hulu, including dozens of full-length films and series in an attempt to cut costs. The streaming service cut 2 Marvel shows, and numerous originals created specifically for the streaming library have vanished. Some of these titles include the likes of High School Musical, the series, Willow, The Mighty Ducks, The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and The Mysterious Benedict Society. Hulu was also hit hard when it dumped Dollface, Little Demon, The Quest, and Why, The Last Man. In addition, Inside the Magic previously covered that, based on an SEC filing, the company is set to incur a $1.5 billion impairment charge for removing streaming titles. CEO Bob Iger later confirmed that the company would be raising prices on the Disney Plus tier without ads in the future in an attempt to better reflect the value of our content offerings. Good riddance to most of those titles, I say.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Skipping down a bit to wrap this up, according to the latest U.S. market share data released by 9to5Mac, Disney Plus has dropped to become the 4th most popular streaming service in America. They're currently sitting at 13% market share and have fallen between Amazon Prime Video at number 1 and Netflix at number 2 and Max at number 3 on the list. The good news? They're dominating Apple TV Plus and Paramount Plus, and they're barely edging out Hulu, which Disney also owns, by the way. The bad news? The streaming bubble is about to burst in their faces.
In the face! In the face!
Let's take a look at a recent article from Bounding Into Comics on the Disney box office. The Walt Disney Company's 2022 box office grosses are the worst the company has posted in nearly 2 decades. Not only are the grosses the worst in nearly 2 decades, but just since 2019, the company has seen their grosses decline nearly 70%. YouTuber and scooper WDW Pro says, quote, "The Walt Disney Company has seen something like a 70% drop in the box office totals it's receiving since 2019. Now, you might blame that on the pandemic, perhaps, and say we're in a post-pandemic world. But if that's the case, then why is Disney on track to drop hundreds of millions of dollars versus their 2022 box office totals?" End quote. The YouTuber went on to make his point by citing Box Office Pro's report of the Walt Disney Company's 2019 box office grosses. The outlet reported that the company grossed $13.1 billion globally across its Disney and Fox film releases in 2019. They added, quote, "That number includes $4.3283 billion in North America and $8.8234 billion overseas," end quote. Skipping down a bit, fast forward to 2022 and Box Office Pro reports the Walt Disney Company only earned $2 billion domestically and another $2.9 internationally for a global gross of $4.9 billion. That's a 62% decline from 2019. I mentioned a few money-losing movies earlier. I wanted to quickly shift focus to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which was also mentioned earlier. It's the newest film that is going to wind up being a pretty expensive flop. I obviously don't work in Hollywood, but I had it explained to me by people who do work in Hollywood that you have to take the budget, in Dial of Destiny's case it's $294.7 million, and double that for marketing. That would take it up to about $589.4 million. That also doesn't work in the cost of reshoots into that budget, but I'm not going to account for that because obviously I would not know that number. So far, Indy 5 has made $303.5 million worldwide. You also have to account for the fact that this is the money before theaters are paid. Even if we're not working in the marketing budget, this is not good. Making your money back or barely getting $100 million over your budget for such a giant, expensive blockbuster means it's an abysmal failure. In the end, they're losing money on this film. I would tell you to thank Kathleen Kennedy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge for that one, but Harrison Ford's old grumpy ass can't escape my ire on something like this.
Are you looking forward to watching a Han Solo movie as a fan?
Not really.
Did you shoot Greedo first, or did Greedo shoot you first?
I don't care. I'm 80 years old. In 20 years, I will give a rat's ass.
We're now going to be focusing on the slumping Disney parks. We won't be focusing on the closure of the Star Wars Galaxy Edge Hotel. That thing charged families thousands of dollars per night for a mediocre experience. Enough said. F-A-F-O, if you ask me.
See, as you can see, the more you f*** around, the more you're going to find out.
But let's first take a look at an article from Fox 35 in Orlando. Disney CEO Bob Iger is addressing a report that stated Walt Disney World was experiencing a slump in attendance this summer. The recent 4th of July holiday saw one of the slowest weekends in nearly a decade, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing data from travel company Touring Plan. The numbers also show significantly lower wait times for rides at the parks, which industry experts say is the result of price hikes and changes to park operations. Speaking with CNBC's David Faber on Squawk Box the day after the Walt Disney Board of Directors unanimously voted to extend his contract through 2026, Iger disputed this report, calling it not accurate.
Sure, Dan.
Faber brought up the Wall Street Journal's article and asked Iger if his fight with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had anything to do with it. Quote, No, we see no sign of that at all. The article that you referenced to was not accurate, actually, Iger said. Quote, it was measuring attendance at Walt Disney World on July 4th, which didn't really factor in temperature, which is about 100 degrees and 99% humidity on that day, end quote. July 4th was the hottest 4th of July in Orlando in the last 25 years, according to online weather data. The record for the date is 98 degrees, set in 1936. However, the last 4th of July that saw 97 degrees was in 1998, 25 years ago. Sounds like excuses and cope to me. Now let's flip to an article from just a couple of days ago from Inside the Magic regarding Disney World. Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom is a ghost town, despite what Bob Iger claims. The Walt Disney Company CEO, Bob Iger, found himself at the center of social media conflict last week after making some controversial comments about the SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes. We'll get to that in the next chapter. But even as the zeitgeist moves on to other Hollywood figures, Iger hasn't escaped criticism. Some Disney Parks fans accuse the executive of misrepresenting crowds at Walt Disney World Resort, citing an unusually empty Magic Kingdom park on a traditionally busy Saturday in July. All signs point to the Central Florida Disney Park anticipating a summer lull. As inflation skyrockets and COVID revenge travel fades away, travelers aren't prioritizing the Mouse House. This spring, Walt Disney World Resort announced steep Disney Resort hotel room discounts and the lowest Disney Park tickets offer in years. Still, in an interview last week, Iger reiterated his confidence in Walt Disney World attendance. He blamed low July 4th crowds on stifling heat and humidity, though that's typical summer in Central Florida. Historically, the weather has never stopped Magic Kingdom Park from hitting capacity on Independence Day. Quote, measuring attendance at Disney World on July 4th didn't really factor in temperature, which is about 100 degrees and 99% humidity on that day, Iger said. Yeah, Twitter punched him right in the face with reality with these tweets. Yet again, the internet is undefeated. Now for the butt cherry on this crap Sunday, I want to wrap up this video with an article from The Hollywood Reporter about the ongoing strikes that won't do Disney any favors. Bob Iger, Hollywood union demands not realistic as escalated strike looms. Quote, this is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption, the Disney chief said of the work stoppage. In a newsmaking interview with CNBC on Thursday morning, Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger said that the WGA strike and the imminent SAG-AFTRA strike, not imminent anymore, are very disrupting and will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business. Quote, this is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption, Iger said, adding that he respects, quote, their right and their desire to be compensated fairly, but also that the unions, quote, have to be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver, and that strike will cause, quote, huge collateral damage. Quote, we managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business, Iger said. Quote, we wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic, and they are adding to a set of challenges that this business is already facing that is quite frankly very disruptive, end quote. Excuse me for not crying that these overgrown baby actors, untalented writers with inflated egos, and stupid studio executives are gonna miss a few paychecks and maybe not be able to release more horrible films. Guess what? Indie films are doing just fine. It's a great time for indie films, actually. Some big budget films are still doing well, like Fast X, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar 2, and it appears like the new Mission Impossible might do okay, but these are all few and far between. People are tired of all of it. People are just tired of Hollywood in general. The glitz, the glamour, the obsessions, and the star power are all gone. These studios are finding out that they can't just toss out that slop and the pigs will lap it up anymore. As far as the demands by the writers and actors that AI won't be used to replace them in the future, I totally get why they're worried about that, and they should be. I'm sorry, but it's just gonna happen. Will scripts all be written by AI? Maybe not all for a long, long time. And if Hollywood execs are smart, they won't agree to never using it. As far as someone's likeness with very little to no compensation, I will admit that that is pretty damn shady, and that's my one issue that I actually stand with the actors on. The other things that I'm somewhat on their side about is that shows are being made these hour-long, 8-episode miniseries epics now, instead of an actual, 20-some episode series. That's kind of weak, and it worked for a while. But it's just not paying off quite as much anymore. Studios need to learn and adjust. Finally, I'm 100% with the strikers when they say, release the streaming numbers! Quit hiding behind fake numbers and trust me, bro. Tell us who is watching your product and how much money they're actually making or losing, you damn cowards. And this goes for everyone, from Disney to Netflix to Amazon to Warner Brothers. Everything else, I could give a damn less, and I think that the rest of the world feels the same way. Get wrecked, Disney. Get wrecked, Hollywood. You're cannibalizing yourselves, and this is more entertaining to watch than almost anything that these studios have hoisted upon us in the past decade. Comment down below with your thoughts on all of this. Are you still a Disney fan, and have you liked anything that they've come out with in the past few years? Are you shocked at the money that these films have lost? Do you have, or have you ever had Disney Plus and or Hulu? I've got Hulu because I don't give a damn about Disney Plus. I had it for 2 months and then dropped it because I honestly never used it. Finally, are you planning on going to a Disney park anytime soon? Who the hell can afford that? Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell to be notified every time we post brand new content. I've been Troy for Marks on Movies and Marks on TV, and we'll see you next time.